What's up, everybody? It's the Rogue in Disguise, North American community contributor for World of Warships Blitz. And if this is your first time here or been here for a while, well, make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe, and turn that bell to all to catch all that we do for World of Warships Blitz. Oh, but yes, and today, let's talk about the Louisiana that's hitting the waters of World of Warships Blitz. The Tier 10 Tech Tree ship is probably going to be a little bit of a game changer because, honestly, if you like the Graf Zeppelin and what it's capable of doing, you're gonna love the Louisiana and the other two Tech Tree ships that we're gonna lightly touch on today. But it's ultimately going to boil down to the Louisiana. Why are we after the Louisiana? Why is it so popular all of a sudden? Why is everybody so hyped about this ship? Well, it's a hybrid ship that is just beyond compare of anything I've seen before in World of Warships Blitz. Now, it's a pretty big ship, honestly. It's got a 350-foot deck, or whatever it says in the terminology, or the upgrade, the camouflage, the battle honors, the details. I don't know hardly anything about the actual facts of doing all that. Terry, Fun and Games with Terry, is going to do an excellent job in doing all that. What we want to talk about and focus on is the stats and what this ship is all about, honestly. So, we know he's got 62,039 hit points. His Citadel protection and fire and flooding resistance is pretty decent for this tier. The fire and flooding resistance at 25% is actually pretty excellent. The damage reduction at 13.5% could have been a little bit higher, but then again, we have to take into account because of the structure of the ship. I can understand some of the weaknesses that may placate to anything that you may want to on that damage reduction, because in some of the videos that you'll see here that I did with some testing up against a Vermont with its guns, and you'll see that it will take heavy damage in the middle because of the structuring that it has up on the big deck. So yeah, I can understand that 13.5% damage reduction right there because it has a large deck and it's probably going to be pretty thin. Well, you can only make it so thick for a runway. Torpedo damage reduction, I find pretty good at 21%. Max speed, 30 knots is pretty fast for this ship considering what it does and everything it does. Time to full speed is understandable. It's an aircraft carrier / battleship. Big guns. 406mm main guns is to be exact, and it's in kind of a weird configuration, honestly. It's got the one turret in the back with 4 guns, and in the front it's got 2 turrets of 3 for a total of, you guessed it, 10 guns of 406mm main guns. And you'd be surprised, it's pretty good coupled with the fact that it's got rapid reload, and it has aviation battleship, which launches air squadrons like an aircraft carrier do. Just exactly like it, honestly. Reload time is pretty good, but you got also rapid reload too. And with the tweak of the commander, you can get an extra 1 out of it. Range, I found it pretty good after you make sure it's all the way buffed up with the upgrades, honestly, because without it, it's like at 13 kilometers, and it's not a fun playable situation. That extra 2 kilometers after you get everything done with the hull modifications and everything like that is pretty good. 127mm secondary guns, just a hair under 6 kilometers. They do a pretty decent amount of damage. I wish it was just a tad bit higher. Maybe they could have done with 152s at 6.5. Maybe that would have made it a little bit too overpowered, I think. Chance of setting a fire, 3%, which is pretty nice. Where it gets fun is the bombers and the 35% chance of setting a fire. I mean, this thing is just setting fires like crazy. The fighters I'm not too particularly fond of. What I've been finding myself doing in battles, in test battles that I did, was just having the fighters hover over myself and using it as more of protection. And a little bit of scouting, mostly scouting to find enemies and moving them along, or using them as a distraction towards their anti-aircraft armament. Really good for that aspect. But the dive bombers themselves are actually a lot of fun to play. Preparation time, 10 seconds, you know, all the good stuff that most carrier vessel players are going to care about, honestly. I'm not a big carrier vessel player, but I was able to get a couple battles at 93k damage pretty easily. But then again, I kind of took the ship to a different direction that most wouldn't do. and I got a little crazy with it, and I went and decided to brawl a little bit with it, which was kind of fun. The anti-aircraft armament is just absolutely insane when you tweak up the anti-aircraft armament. 681 at 3.30 kilometers for just the small caliber AA damage alone. The large caliber AA damage, we got up to 436 at almost 4 kilometers. My goodness, this thing just shreds planes. And then on top of it, you got Air Defense Alert 1, which will increase it by another 75% for both of those for 20 seconds. Again, with the commander, you can get, or the captain's guild get an additional 1 on that as well, which is pretty nice, which I did take advantage of it. It has that air defense, and we also took care of that rapid reload situation with the commander that I picked with it. I did pick Richard Best for the commander for this one because it did have a couple of things that I was looking for from Death from Above, and also Dauntless Dive as the perks on this commander, which made him a little bit more effective as far as the bombers are concerned. I'm sure there's probably another commander out there that's a little bit better, but I went with Richard H. Best because that was available for me at the time. So, any questions about that, I'm sorry. That's just what I went with. Other than that, it's super kind of fun. It does, because it is a tech tree ship, it does have 5 battle honor missions, which is nice. I did come to find out that there's going to be 2 camouflages available for it. One is going to be focusing on torpedo damage reduction, while the other one is about bomb damage. Otherwise, they're pretty much the same as stats are concerned, but that is the only difference. I went and used Stormy Sky for the extra bomb damage, and by the time you're using like a couple salvos from your main guns and getting those planes back, they're pretty much just constantly going if you're doing it right. I've had a lot of fun with this, surprisingly. I did do a couple of tweaks as far as, like, on my setup to accommodate carrier vessels now, as far as switching from aircraft mode or carrier vessel mode to battleship mode by adding a simple hotkey over the button that switches between the two. I don't know the exact button, what it's called, but it switches from aircraft mode to battleship mode when you're in gameplay, and it made a huge difference in my gameplay, and that's why I was able to get a couple of battles at 93k, and it was kind of fun. I really had to say it made a difference in my gameplay entirely when it comes to carrier vessels, and honestly, I'm not a carrier vessel guy in any way, shape, or form, but if anything that makes my gameplay just a hair bit better, I'm going to be happy with. Right? So there you guys have it. Let's talk about the other 2 ones. They're in this class, and it is classified as a battleship, so because of the guns themselves. So let's talk about the Tier 9 and Tier 8, and we are talking about the American battleships here. Honestly, these things are redonkulous. As far as anything, we'll just go with the tech scree ships alone. Is it the Delaware? Is the Tier 9? Nebraska is the Tier 8. Nebraska, yeah, it's just got the 2 forward guns. It's going to play more like a, have to say, Graf Zeppelin, if anything. Not that too impressive with the stats either. I haven't even played this one yet. I'll test that on the live stream for you guys, so you gotta get first a look on that, and then here's a look at the Delaware. Same kind of configuration as the Louisiana, except it's got 2 guns on the rear turret, and it's got the 2 triple barrel turrets up in the front, which is kind of nice. All right, and they all got to come with historical camouflages of the Stormy one, and I'm sure they're probably going to be all the weird stuff, but those are just a quick look at that stuff. We're not going to get into too much detail of that. I'm probably going to make separate videos for that, or just demonstrate them live on the stream. But those are 3 ships that are coming into the American Tech Tree line for the later end after North Carolina, so you'll have the options of going regular battleship to get the Montana, get the Vermont, or now the Louisiana. Oh boy. And I think the Louisiana at tier 10 is going to be a little bit of a game changer, because honestly, if you think carrier vessels are bad now, get a couple of these in there. You're definitely going to be owning some sky for sure. So until the next video, guys, make sure you check out that link in the description with all our social media platforms that we're going to be broadcasting to you, so you can pick your favorite one and watch us on anyone on Facebook, x.com, also on Twitch and YouTube for our live streaming. How about that, guys? All right, so make sure you check out the link in the description. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe and you turn that bell to all to catch all that we do for World of Warships Blitz. Until the next video, guys, don't do anything I wouldn't do twice. I don't have any bail money. Okay? All right, guys, have a good one.